2 weeks ago, I posted an episode slash YouTube video all about the energetics of being seen. And in the first few hours, it got around 20 views on YouTube. And there was one comment that almost sent me into a spiral. That was because it mirrored something I still believed about myself. And this led me to talking about what we're going to be talking about today, which is something that every single entrepreneur, no matter how successful, experiences at some point, and that is imposter syndrome. Now, before we go into the typical how to overcome it conversation, I do want to emphasize that I do not think imposter syndrome is bad. I believe it is a sign that you are expanding and up leveling. However, at the same time, I do believe there are certain instances where online business owners, coaches, mentors could be blurring the lines between being an imposter and embodying and manifesting their next level self. There are some blurry lines, and I'll be talking about them. It is great to manifest. As you know, I'm a quantum manifestation coach. I teach and embodying your next level self and believing in what you might not have proof for yet. However, when it comes to business and providing services, there are some lines and some boundaries that we have to maintain. We'll talk about that today. Now, we have been talking in the last few weeks, maybe even months, about authentic voice in your marketing and your messaging. This has kind of been our theme in this podcast, really letting your truth be seen, spoken, and felt so deeply that it magnetizes the right people, the right clients to you. And imposter syndrome is what comes up when you start to do that. When you start to step into your next level of expression, of visibility, of leadership, your nervous system, your subconscious mind start freaking out a little bit because it is all new and it is all scary. So instead of fighting it, I want to show you how to work with it. So let's dive in. Now, as I mentioned, 2 weeks ago, I shared an episode about the energetics of being seen. And the whole point, the whole purpose of this episode was how visibility is not about the number of people watching, liking, engaging. It is about how much of your authentic self you feel safe to let be seen. I published this episode as always on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and in the next few hours, it had maybe 20 views on YouTube. I'm not sure, I was sleeping. But when I woke up the next day, I saw this comment from this big account, someone with over 300,000 followers, who took the time to comment something like, "But how can you say this with just 20 views? LOL." Now, I'm not going to lie. When I first saw this comment, I spiraled a little bit. I wish I could say I didn't care, but I did. Even though I know the energetics of being seen, even though I know the point of visibility and being seen is not how many people see you, it's how much of yourself you let others see. And you can be fully booked with just 20 views on your YouTube videos. I know this. And still, when I saw this comment, for about an hour, it really hit me. I felt like, who am I to be talking about visibility and energetics when this is what my stats look like? Now, by that point, I think the video had over 100 views by the time I woke up to that comment, but still, that right there is imposter syndrome. But knowing what I know now, learning so much universal laws, energetic laws of the universe, the law of reflection, which I've talked a lot about in this podcast. And I think I have a whole episode just about the law of reflections. I knew that this comment was just a mirror reflecting a piece of me that still believed that I wasn't there yet, that still believed that if I don't get thousands of views, that means that I'm not truly there, not truly successful. You know, that external conditioning that we are so used to getting. Now, as I said, I let myself feel the feels for about an hour because I don't want to gaslight my own feelings. And then I did what I teach. I used the recode method. I identified the gap, the vibration that caused this comment to be there and caused me to be triggered by this comment, because reflections are not just about what other people do, it's about how you react. If I would have seen that comment and nothing in me would have been triggered, that would not have been a reflection. That would just have been what that other person thinks, and they're entitled to their own thoughts. But since I was triggered, that means that that was a reflection of an imbalance, an inner imbalance. So I identified the vibration that led me to be triggered. I understood where it came from. I shifted the emotion. I cleared the charge from my body. And after that, first of all, in the following day or so, that video got, I think, over 300 views, which for my YouTube channel, which is pretty small, only started a few months ago, that's a lot. I think that's the second most viewed episode that I ever got on YouTube. So that is kind of crazy. And also, after that, I didn't even need to defend or explain myself. I didn't even have to do anything. Someone else actually commented, replied to that comment, explaining the message of the episode for me, explaining what I meant and explaining why that person's comment is wrong. And as I said, within days, that like I think one day, that video became one of my most viewed ones. And this is what shifting your inner energetic state does. Sometimes you don't have to do any of the physical work. Like the universe will just rearrange things for you when you get rid of the negative emotional charge and you fully embody who you are and how you want to be feeling. That was the universe showing me in real time what happens when you transmute imposter energy into authenticity and fully believing in your message. Now, I've had time to reflect on imposter syndrome. Well, that's something that I've been feeling really since I started my business 2.5 years ago. And anyone who's a business owner, I'm sure, has faced this feeling no matter how successful. Every time you are about to embark on a new level, you are going to be feeling imposter syndrome. Now, I do know someone, funnily enough, the first ever business coach that I ever had when I just started my health and fitness coaching business. She was talking a lot about imposter syndrome, and she is someone who doesn't experience imposter syndrome. At least she says she doesn't. Intuitively, I feel like she does about 12% of the time, but still, that's pretty low. But do you know why that is? That is because, well, she is successful. She's built a successful business. I wouldn't even call it an empire. She never really does anything out of her comfort zone. She has these like two programs that she's been running with for years, the same marketing strategy she's been running with for years, and she is happy that way. And that is great. And that is why she doesn't feel imposter syndrome so much. However, anyone who is in the business of wanting to expand, not wanting to stay in their comfort zone, wanting to expand, wanting to grow, whether that is growing your business to full time or whether that is you already have a multiple 6, 7 figure business and now you want to expand into public speaking, maybe. Whenever you experience that want and that you take that leap towards expanding and moving on to the next level, you will feel imposter syndrome. Now, imposter syndrome is not something that you get rid of. It is, and it's not something that you should get rid of. It is feedback from your subconscious that you are simply in unfamiliar territory. Every new level brings doubts. Every expansion brings new resistance. That is normal. When you view it that way, it stops being a personal flaw and it becomes proof that you are growing. Now, there is, as I said at the beginning, there is a fine line between manifesting and embodying your next level and pretending you are someone that you are not. And this is especially important as an online business provider, as an online coach, mentor, which I know a lot of the listeners here are. When I talk about embodying your next level, I mean aligning with the energy of who you are becoming, how they think, how they make decisions, how they speak, how they create, showing up as if you already have that global empire, thinking of yourself as someone who already has that global empire and is already leading this incredible business that is a well-known name across your niche, across your audience. But that is, I want to emphasize this, that is very different from faking expertise or over promising results. And that is something that I see a lot in the online space from people who are not yet where they want to be, which is fair enough, but they pretend to be where they want to be. They flat out lie on their socials and say that they are fully booked and that they made 50K months, when I know, some because I know them, some because I checked intuitively, that they are not there. Now, aside from the fact that this is immoral and unethical, people can feel when your words and your energy don't match. I want you to understand this. First of all, as I said, it's immoral and unethical. Second of all, your dream soulmate clients can feel if you are not telling the truth. And people are attracted to authenticity, to you being you, even if you're not yet the most successful person in your industry. That's not what your soulmate clients want. They want you, and they want your energy, and they want to learn from you because they adore your energy. So if you are still at the stage where you are building experience, where you want to embody the next level self, you want to embody the energy of the person that you are becoming, as I said, how they think, decide, speak, create, that is great. If you're not there yet, you might want to practice for free a little bit, or maybe not charge super high ticket. Again, that's something that I see very often online. Business coaches, and I've worked with a few of them, who will convince their clients that they should charge high ticket. I had a business mentor tell me that I should charge, I think it was $600 for my manifestation mapping sessions when I was just starting to learn intuition. And that did not sit right with me. She said, well, if you're going to have two people buy your sessions, you might as well have two people buy them for $600 than $100. That doesn't sit right with me. Do you know why? Because if you are still building experience, and again, at that stage, I was pretty new to intuition, you should practice either for free or for lower ticket. People are more likely to want you to practice on them when you don't charge hundreds and thousands of dollars, when you are not there yet. You want to collect feedback. You want to build mastery until your energy naturally calibrates to the new level. And you know what? If you have 10 clients not paying you thousands of dollars a month, but you still have 10 clients, do you know what happens? Again, you collect feedback, you build mastery, you build testimonials, and you can actually start embodying, thinking, deciding, creating like the person who is fully booked, even if they're not yet at a 20, 30, 40, 50K month level. You build mastery until your energy naturally calibrates to that new level. And that is, again, the fine line between embodying your next level versus faking it. And this is something that, as you can tell, I am very passionate about, because I have seen this a lot in the online space. And as I said, I've worked with mentors who literally told me to fake it, fake expertise, fake being fully booked and making 20K months. That doesn't sit right with me. I embody the energy of a person making 50K months. But let me tell you, I am not there yet. I am collecting feedback, and I am collecting evidence, and I am building mastery every single day to be there without faking it. And how do I do it? I do it through collecting evidence. You cannot believe in yourself, believe that you are the best of the best without having proof for that. And you're not going to have proof for that if you are just faking your way there. You actually have to practice, and that way you also overcome that imposter syndrome and you become someone that people look up to. Now, 7 months into me training my intuition, I'm now at a point where I'm able to charge more for my sessions. And this is thanks to the fact that I didn't listen to that mentor. At the point, I think my my intuitive reads were about, I think it was like $59. That was it. I felt okay with it. I felt right with it because I knew I need to build that experience. And I knew if I charged $600 and someone would have bought that for me, that would not sit right with me. I would feel like an imposter. And as a result, I would have delivered a bad service, or not as good of service as they would expect for that investment. So, just some food for thought, because I know a lot of you listening to this are in that place. Again, whether you are only just scaling to full time or whether you are already at 20K months level and you want to up level, you want to, again, I had a client who is already, her business is quite successful already. Like she's already well past the 10K months regularly. And now she wants to expand into public speaking. And now she has this like imposter syndrome of like, who am I to do public speaking? So we started her with doing small gigs, small events, even doing an event for just her clients. But the purpose of the event was her telling her story. That way, she has been collecting evidence of being very good at this craft already. Now, another thing I want to say about imposter syndrome is if you are at least 2 steps ahead of the people, of the clients that you want to serve, you have lived what you're teaching, and bonus, you have the credentials, especially, well, bonus if you don't have to have the credentials. Of course, if you have to have them, then like don't claim you're a psychologist without having the psychology degree, right? But if you're at least 2 steps ahead, you're not an imposter. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be 10 steps ahead. You need to be able to teach and to mentor and to coach on what you are saying you are doing successfully because you have already gone through that. You have coached other people through that. And you know that when it comes to those specific things, you are already enough of a master. You're already at least 2 steps ahead, and you can confidently coach other people in doing that. Again, you don't have to be 100 steps ahead. Being at least 2 steps ahead and knowing that you have the tools, you have the knowledge to teach, to embody the specific things that you are delivering and teaching, that is enough. You just need to be honest about where you are and confident in the results that you can help people get, that you can help people achieve. Now, when imposter syndrome does show up, you don't need to bypass it and you don't need to drown in it either. You can do 3 things that I find really help me when that comes up. So, first of all, regulate your energy. Use tools like breath work, like the Recode method, which is always, if you're listening to this, you have 50% off on the Recode method. Literally a 5-minute practice that has changed my life and so many clients' lives. Or you can journal to just release the emotional charge. A second step is actually to ground yourself in logic. Remind yourself of your credentials, of client results, and evidence of you being competent. Write a list on your phone in your notes app of how you have helped so many people, of all of your expertise, all of your credentials, of how you've helped yourself. And again, if you don't have that proof yet, that is okay. Start focusing on gathering this proof as we talked about. And then third of all, I want you to audit yourself. Audit your alignment. I want you to ask yourself, is this imposter syndrome because I'm growing and expanding and up leveling to, in the next level? Or is it true imposter because maybe I'm skipping a step in skill or in integrity? When you get really honest about which one it is, then you will know what to do next. So, just to wrap this episode up, and I'm actually really proud of myself because I always tell myself I'll keep these episodes to like 20 minutes and they always end up being 30, 40 minutes or more. And I think today I managed to actually stick to maybe under 20 minutes. I need to check. But just to wrap this up, when you are feeling imposter syndrome, it usually does not mean that you are an imposter. It usually does not mean that you are not ready. It is a sign that you are choosing to step out of your comfort zone and leap to your next level. So, when you are creating content or writing copy, I want you to lead with what's real. I don't want you to fake it. And I also don't want you to downsize your wins or achievements. Just share from the place you genuinely stand in and keep expanding that place by doing the inner work and the outer mastery of actually mastering your craft and becoming the best of the best at who you are and what you do. And actually, again, just to wrap this up, I realized before recording this podcast, this specific episode, that this is actually episode 30 of the podcast. And I have to say, I am so proud. I am so proud of getting to this place. I remember reading a stat years ago that 90% of podcasts don't go beyond episode 20. So the fact that I am at episode 30, I am actually celebrating it. And I want to inspire you as well to, if you have a dream of starting a podcast, releasing a course, whatever it is, go ahead and do it. Do it. And if that's a podcast, make sure you stay consistent. Even if results don't come straight away, make sure you stay consistent. I am now at a point where people find me literally every single week through my podcast. And it is the most incredible feeling because I'm a talker. So getting people to find me through Instagram is difficult because I feel like my energy just comes through best through long form content like podcasts. So the fact that I have stuck with it means that I get new followers, new people finding my content, signing up for my courses, my email list, joining masterclasses through the podcast alone. So if your dream is starting a podcast, that is maybe your sign to start and not give up. Do it every week. If you've had on your heart that you want to start a course, to deliver a course, a group program, whatever that is, go ahead and do it. And don't forget to freaking sell every day or every week. Do not give up. Okay. We have talked about quantum leaping, about how overnight success, quote unquote, is not overnight, right? Things take time. It's that water to ice metaphor. Put a cup of water outside on the balcony in July. It's just going to stay water. But keep it out there for long enough. When the temperatures drop eventually in November, December to zero and below zero, that's when it's going to turn to ice. And that's when people are going to be like, oh, this has been an overnight thing. No, that cup has been there since July. So this was just a side note. Of course, I just couldn't stick to keeping this episode short and potent, but this is just your little sign to stick to what you want to do. And if you believe that that is your destiny and that is what's going to make you happy and fulfilled, keep going. Even if the proof doesn't come, keep going, create proof. And again, at the end of October, I am going to be running a 3-day, I'm not sure if it's going to be a live event. I need to see. I have not fully decided yet, but it's going to be a 3-day thing, a 3-day challenge, maybe, all about self expression, authenticity, and becoming really magnetic in your messaging, not through a formula, not through faking it, through letting your own voice and your own energy shine. So if you want to be in there, make sure you join the waitlist, and that is going to be in the show notes or description box, depending if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube. And I have so many ideas for this already. It's going to be so jam-packed with value. So that is it for today. Thank you all so much for being here, for listening. I love you, and I'll see you next week.